What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I just want to start by saying we are tied for second in the NFC East. For everyone who doubted us and all the crap that was being talked that we're incapable, blah, blah, blah. We are not in the basement of the NFC East. That honor is actually bestowed upon our opponents this coming Sunday, the Washington Redskins. So congratulations to you guys. To start off, I'm praying at some point this week, Dwayne Haskins is announced as the starter for Washington, because just that matchup of Jones versus Haskins, with everything surrounding that we should have taken Haskins and everything that went into it, when his reaction when we didn't draft him, very excited, but I highly doubt that it's actually going to occur. Everything coming out of Washington camp is basically just saying that they're rolling with Case Keenum. You know, they believe he's good enough to run the offense and be successful. You're 0-3, but whatever. You know, start him. If the worse they do, the better we look. I'd say probably the next time we play Washington later in the year, we're going to see that Haskins-Jones matchup. And I mean, if both teams have it their way, that's going to be something we're going to be watching for the next 15-20 years. But anyways, guys, I have some news and updates for you today. Some very upsetting news in regards to our superstar running back, but I'm also going to give some predictions on who may come in to replace that running back in the meantime. There are some viable options out there, but first I want to just give you a complete breakdown of my week 3 picks and those results. No real improvement, unfortunately. I finished same as last week. I went 11-5, which brings my season total up to 32-15-1. Very average. I'd say I definitely hope to improve that going into this week, starting on Thursday. But we'll see. 32-15-1 isn't awful, I guess. But before I hop into the main injury concern here, we did have a couple other Giants that are suffering injuries as it stands right now. First of all, of course, we know Cody Latimer still listed as out with that concussion, and until he passes the NFL's test that they make you go through, we're not going to be seeing him on the field. But someone who actually went down in the game recently against Tampa Bay, both interior linebackers. First of all, Alec Ogletree. We all saw on a play that didn't even matter, Ogletree picks up the fumble and starts to return it, comes up limp with the hamstring injury, gets pushed over by Jabril Peppers. Then he was seen on the sideline for the rest of the game with an earpiece in. Nothing has really come out. He's just still listed as questionable. But based on what we saw, I'm going to assume that he is not going to be ready to go come this week. But I am hoping for the best, especially because next up, Tay Davis also went down. Listed as a concussion currently. I just feel like every week I'm just talking about these concussions because they keep popping up. Obviously startled when he was helped off of the field. In Sunday's game against the Buccaneers, he just looked out of it. And of course, my prediction earlier this season was that we were going to have Ryan Connolly and Tay Davis side by side starting. Not going to happen. Connolly and Mayo look like the duo that's going to be going out this week against the Washington Redskins. Yeah, not a good scene. We already were very thin at interior linebacker. Both of these guys appear like they're not going to be playing this Sunday. And then lastly, Russell Shepard is also dealing with a foot injury. Listed right now as a left foot sprain. Another blow to our wide receiver group. It seems like between interior linebacker and wide receiver, we've had a lot of issues early on in the season. So he's currently listed as questionable, so there is hope that he may be able to come back. If it is a serious foot sprain, though, probably not going to be in Sunday's game. But as you all know, SAQUON Barkley was helped off the field and taken into the locker room in the first half of the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He did return, but to the sideline, and he was wearing a walking boot and using crutches. I guess good news, if you want to call it that, is the MRI revealed what a lot of people predicted as a high ankle sprain. So it wasn't anything more serious than that. He is still going to be out 4 to 8 weeks. which is really going to hurt. I mean, we just got Daniel Jones, a capable quarterback, someone who has shown he can dominate with our offense. And you take away a piece like SAQUON Barkley, and that really that hurts a lot. Yes, he was able to do what he did on Sunday without SAQUON Barkley for the most part. But going forward, not having him on the field is we're going to feel that sting. You know, I'm sorry, but Wayne Gallman isn't as scary as SAQUON Barkley. On the bright side of things, following this Week 4 matchup, we do get Golden Tate back on offense. His suspension will be over. Does he add as much of a spark as SAQUON Barkley does? No, but anything at this point to help out Daniel Jones is obviously huge. The Giants only decided to carry 2 running backs going into this season, obviously SAQUON Barkley and Wayne Gallman. Elijah Penny's mixed in there, but he's obviously slated as a fullback. So with that, the injury to Barkley, we're down to 1 running back. Now, obviously the plan was to give the bulk of the load to SAQUON throughout the season and use Gallman when necessary. Plans change, and I'm just going to quickly go over some of the people that came to mind when I was thinking about who could potentially fill this void for the time being. There are some very viable options out there currently in free agency, even at this point in the season. The first person for me that actually came to mind was probably different than a lot of you. The first name was actually a former Giant, Orleans Darkwa. Now, that's obviously not a household name to most people, but a lot of Giants fans will recognize Orleans Darkwa. Of course, being with the Giants for a few seasons, a few dark seasons. Obviously, his breakout year was 2017, which was kind of an abysmal one for us. Obviously, he wasn't held in high praise just because of the fact that we were just so poor as a team. But a power back like Darkwa in 2017 had over 700 yards rushing. The combination of his knocking around ability, for lack of a better term, his power back status, and Wayne Gallman's elusiveness could be a very good combination for New York. Another option might be a guy that a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth about, but he is available, and he is Doug Martin. Doug Martin, of course, playing the bulk of his career in Tampa Bay, played with Oakland last year. If there was ever an example of a guy that had an up and down career, Doug Martin would literally be the perfect example of that. Not many people can say that on multiple occasions they rushed for over 1,400 yards. He did that twice. Unfortunately, 5 out of the other 6 seasons, he rushed for under 500 yards. Regardless of that, he is a former All-Pro and a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he showed he can still run the ball. Last season with Oakland, he did rush for over 700 yards. He might be a good option. I mean, like I said, there is a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths about Doug Martin, because of his lack of production in the past outside of those 2 huge seasons. But he could be a very viable option for the time being. A lot of talk has been brought up about Ajayi. Now, out of the guys available, he is probably the most talented, but it's clear that the ACL injury just a year ago has scared off a lot of teams, and I believe it may scare off the Giants as well. The last thing we need is to bring in a guy that has not only a recent injury, but a history of injuries in the past. Obviously, only 26 years old, still a very talented young running back, but the risk might be not worth the reward, especially because it's not going to be something long-term for us. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did bring him in. As I said, he's probably the most talented of the ones available. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see if any of these guys are brought into the Giants facility. Of course, other guys like a CJ Anderson or a LeGarrette Blount are available, but I believe the 3 guys that I mentioned are the most likely candidates if anyone is really brought in. I mean, we have that rookie John Hilleman in our practice squad facility, so it could be as simple as bringing him up. But if we are to bring somebody in, I do believe it's one of the 3 guys that I listed off. Blount, obviously a 32-year-old running back, a power back. Hasn't really shown production over the past few seasons, although he has 5 touchdowns last year with the Lions. And CJ Anderson, We all know the CJ Anderson story. A guy that he just gets picked up randomly throughout the year. He goes off, but again, it's not going to be a long-term deal for him or anyone we really bring in. So I believe one of those three guys I listed off would be the option for the Giants, if anyone. But that's all I got for you guys today. Of course, if any other news drops, I will be the first to get it out to you, keeping you up to date. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and sub to the channel if you haven't already. Be on the lookout tonight. I'm going to be dropping the 15th episode of New York Giants Madden 20 franchise, so definitely keep that eye out for that. But I hope you enjoy your Tuesday. Enjoy the week. More football on the horizon. I'll see you in the next one, guys.